Hello, and welcome to 97.9 Unity Radio. This is the Rebel Republic. I am your host, the best radio and podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. And with me tonight, the man himself, the voice of reason, the man who can't go to the bank and pay with joy.
Thank you.
Frank Cristiano.
Finally acknowledging me as the voice of reason, which I am.
You're the voice of
which
reason.
I totally am. I totally am.
You are the voice of reason. You are the voice of reason. And I will give you credit for that because you did admit that if there was a certain candidate that you would vote across party lines.
Yeah, but why wouldn't I? I mean, if I'm not enthralled with the candidate that's on my party's line and there's someone that makes more sense, and my kind of sense is spelled CENTS, then why wouldn't I? I mean, I would definitely have to cross lines.
Yeah, no, I agree. So the big news last night was Kamala's interview with CNN. Certain people called it a disgrace to journalism.
I bet you they weren't Democrats.
They said that the questions were soft.
Yeah.
The follow-ups were non-existent.
Sure.
And they didn't cover any topics. There are enough topics.
Tell me something before you get into it. When has there ever been a media interview where a liberal or Democratic candidate or politician has been pressed on the issue?
No, they never get pressed.
And I'm not saying like, oh, please follow it up. When I'm saying getting pressed, getting grilled on the issues. There hasn't. And maybe recently at the end, towards when Joe Biden was just fading out into oblivion with his brain, maybe at that point in time, they were, trying to get a little more out of the president, but it's never on an angle of them being pressed, as opposed to, oh my God, if you're a conservative candidate, you're under fire no matter who you are. You are under fire 24/7. Right. So that's where that media bias comes into. And anybody says it's not true is totally blind to the whole situation. You got your horse blinders on, take them off, take a step into reality, look at how things are phrased and how they're angled towards people they like and people they don't like.
Well, the other thing is that people are complaining that she has shifted her policy views from far left to more to the middle, to the right on certain issues.
Right.
Since she has been nominated. Now, she had 40 days to prepare for this interview.
Sure.
And
her staff had 40 days to prepare. She obviously didn't prepare.
I think she just walked in and had no clue what to do. But having time to prepare, you are who you are. People know who you are. People know your record. You've been there for 4 years. Why all of a sudden, when we're 2 months out, are you now shifting your views on certain policies?
Well, obviously,
why shift?
Well, obviously, you're trying to get the middle of the road voter. You're trying to get that, that liberal, independent voter who may be on the fence. You're trying to appease the moderate Democrats who sometimes are kind of outraged at the pace of, attempted change in this country from a centrist look to a far left look. And there are people that would want it to go far right as well. I'm not saying that, that's the only side that things are trying to slide to. But here's the one thing that makes no sense for me in her entire speech. She makes this one point. So she said, despite the shifts in position, her values have not changed.
Exactly.
Well, let me tell you something. How do you keep the same values if you shift your position? You don't. Your values have changed. Your values have changed. If you shift a position, your values have changed.
Oh, significantly.
Right. So, and so there's no way to appease that statement. There's no way to make that statement look good. Bottom line, that statement throws everything that she did in that interview out the door, because she's telling you straight up that despite the shift in positions, her values have not changed. She's fighting for middle class America. But she proposes no signings, no declarations, no presidential. What do they call those? So the bills or the things that pass right away to sign into office.
Right.
Upon her being elected president, all she does is she gives you the same angle and feelings of everything will be okay. We're just going to take from corporations and we're going to spread it out amongst everyone, which it's been tried before and it does not work.
No, it doesn't at all. The biggest concern that people had was her view on the illegal immigrants. Before, she had said, and this has been 10 years in the making, that she didn't see it as a crime to be an illegal immigrant and she wouldn't prosecute them.
Correct.
Now, all of a sudden, she is taking a much stronger stance on that, saying that if you are an illegal and we catch you, you will be prosecuted. I am not going to let that go. It is against the law.
I would be shocked to see that happen if she gained access to being the head boss of this administration, in her administration as president. I would be shocked to see that. I would be shocked to understand any of the things that she is saying. Even when Joe Biden was there too, same thing. We are talking about a group of people that in 2019, 18, 19, all the way through, complained, cried, whined, went to the border and said that we cannot have a wall. Well, first of all, what is your wall going to stop? Who are you trying to keep out?
Right.
How high are you going to make it? How much money is it going to cost? And they from the pictures of the Obama administration with kids in cages that they slapped on Trump's back, they're now coming up the last, all the way until 2020 with, we cannot have a border wall. We're taking it down. We are not funding any more construction of it, and it'll come down. 2, within the last, 3 weeks, now she said that she supports more funding to the border wall and continued construction of the border wall.
Yep.
She supports, she's against the illegal immigrants now, that if you are illegal, you're going to be prosecuted for being an illegal immigrant. So right there, you can see how her values have not changed.
Not at all.
Unless she's lying through her teeth.
Not at all.
Right?
Not at all.
So, that's all she's doing. So I can't understand, again, how people don't see this. It's so clear. Bottom line, you're not voting for Kamala Harris. You're not voting for liberal policies. You're not voting for policy. The only policy I see people voting for, and I know our cohort here will be on soon, he disagrees a little bit. But I think the only major point that many people are voting for is the abortion issue. I think the abortion issue is one where that sort of crossed the line once it went to the states, and once the Supreme Court overturned the Roe v. Wade decision of making it federal. So I can see that as term, but bottom line, you are voting for one thing and one thing only. You are voting for your hatred of Donald Trump. You are voting for your hatred of Donald Trump. As my dog approves right in my background, they approve it as well. You're voting for your hatred of Donald Trump. You wish Donald Trump would go away. When you have people that say, man, that assassination attempt, too bad it missed.
Yeah, too bad it missed. Too bad it missed.
When you're saying that, you've hit rock bottom in your life.
Well, not in someone else's. As a person, that's because that's taking it too far.
People are arguing over politics, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican or an independent who is your president. Their policies mean nothing to the average citizen.
Not at all.
Their policies mean nothing to the average citizen. Your local politicians are the ones who make policy that have more effect on you than the national politician. So take a step back, relax. Maybe you don't like the guy. That's cool. Don't vote for him. I got you 100%. I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of people that are not commenting on who they're going to vote for, and they're going to vote for Donald Trump. They're going to vote for Donald Trump because the sensibility has finally come into the hearts of many people, and they realize that another 4 years of what we're having, and they can say the economy's been better. They can say the economy's back to where it is. They can say that inflation is coming down. You can say that.
Well,
you can say whatever you want. You can spew. Yeah. You can spew whatever numbers you want. Okay. Bottom line, I can make anything look pretty, but the reality is right now, it's not.
Yeah.
It's okay. Listen,
Yeah, you can dress it up.
If you're out in a big city and you're making $300,000 a year as a chip head and everything is fine, that's good for you. But the people I deal with day to day, that I see day to day, that come in to eat or that come in to talk, they're having a hard time. They're realizing that
struggling.
They're struggling. More and more things are too costly to them. Have not come down to the point where it's affordable. It's a thing where, and everyone says, "We'll get a better job." Well, you know what? Where are these better jobs?
I'd love to know.
Where are these better jobs?
Yeah.
And if you're 50, where are these better jobs? Because you're going to go back and train now because some Micron puts a chip plant in your backyard. You're going to go back and train for something like that,
right?
So the options are small for people on that level, and the overeducated will argue that, well, education is where it's at. How many educated people were walking around a year ago with no job?
Well, their life is education. They just keep going to school and get
careerly educated.
So that's what they do. They just get smarter and smarter, but nothing is ever done.
Exactly.
They'll stay in school 10
years. There are
years.
jobs. If you have no job and you're really smart, pick up a shovel. Be smart and make some money and pay your bills. Unless you're fine paying your bills. If your parents are paying your bills, or you have some kind of an endowment left to you, or if you live in a commune maybe and you're all eating corn and maize and zucchini every day, that's okay. I got that too. But bottom line, if you're that smart and you're telling other people to get a job, then you don't understand the realities of society. You don't understand the realities of people's inner workings. You don't understand money. You definitely don't understand money. You should take a step back and look and say, hey, listen, we need to cut inflation. It needs to go back. It needs to go back when we're paying, in this area alone, we're in central New York, paying $1,700, $1,800 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. That's outrageous.
Yeah.
San Diego, California, my friend just rented an apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, $6,200 a month. $6,200 a month in a nice neighborhood, but $6,200 a month.
Why wouldn't you just get a mortgage?
Why wouldn't you leave California? I'd rather live in Montana somewhere in a hole.
Yeah.
So the idea is you have to look at these things, and here's where other people are fooled too. Inflation's coming down. Let's say a carton of eggs cost $2, and then it went up to $6, and now it's back down to $4. Inflation hasn't come down. It hasn't come back to where it should be.
No,
they've raised it 100% on you. You're paying 100% more than you were at the time it was $2.
Yeah, it just went back.
Right, and now that $4 price, that's going to be the sticking point.
Yeah.
That's not going to go down. Yeah. It's not going to go below that, unless there's some kind of oversupply of whatever they're selling.
It's still inflated.
Right. It's still inflated. So you have to realize now you're stuck with a higher cost of living across the board for everything that we deal with. Tell me insurance on your vehicle, insurance on your home, insurance on your business, whether it be fire for your house or protection. Where have those costs gone? And why is that up higher?
Yeah.
Why is that up higher?
What's the reasoning?
Yeah. What's the reason? Well, the reasoning
they have to make more money.
Well, they got to make more money because they got to pay their employees more.
Yeah.
They got to pay their employees more, and everyone's going to say they got to pay their CEO more. Listen, 5 or 10 million more to the guy at the top does not balance out what they have to pay at the bottom, and the bottom people need to get paid. I'm totally in favor of that. I'm not, but what is fair? What is enough? And when does it stop? When does the bleeding stop?
Yeah. And it's crazy that it continues to bleed and bleed and bleed, and it's going to bleed us dry, unfortunately.
What the country needs realistically, we don't need a Republican. We don't need a Democrat. We need a good CPA. We need an accountant. We need an accountant to go in and just start throwing policies and budget lines out. And budget lines. But if people could look at budget lines and see what we spend, not here, but in overseas, it's incredible, hundreds of millions, if not millions, hundreds of billions of dollars that we spend overseas, and most of it is just given away. It's given away to appease, so either someone doesn't start a problem overseas, or someone doesn't start a cause against the U.S., or someone doesn't spy on the, it's bribe, it's hush money. Basically, that's what we're paying out of our national budget.
But that's something that we've always felt the need to do, is police the world.
Right.
And we don't take care of ourselves first. We'll take care of another country.
That's the whole thing. If you're not stable inside your country, we're not stable inside the country right now.
No,
we're not stable inside the. We're not stable with housing. We need housing and affordable housing.
Healthcare.
We're not stable with. We're definitely not stable with healthcare.
No.
Right. And the options for healthcare. We're not stable with pricing, and a price fix is not going to be the answer.
No.
Competition needs to happen. Okay, so if someone's charging more and you go to buy it from someone that's charging less. Problem is some people can't get to where they're charging less. So there's got to be some sort of structure to the inflation problem that will bring it down across the board. Okay, and we also have a problem. I think we have a problem education wise.
With the tuition costs?
Well, that's beyond a doubt. I just took my kid to Syracuse University to take a look.
Oh, and you want to pay $70,000?
70. Try like, I don't know. It was 64 for tuition and 18,000 for housing. Okay, yeah. So you're at 80 some odd thousand.
Well, it's a private institution.
Yeah, I don't care what it is. I don't care what education they give you. There's no way that you're going to make up if you're there for 4 years or 5 years. Normally,
you come out in debt.
You're not going to make up $400,000 and another 10 grand a year, 15 grand a year in just expenditures from living there.
And that's why young people, when they get out of college, they won't take the jobs that pay $40,000.
They won't take it. That's all that's there.
I should be making more.
That's all that's there. Now, some schools are good at placement. Okay,
yeah, they work
with companies, they work with alumni, and they're good at placement of that, but not everybody's going to get placed.
No.
So there's going to be a lot of people who owe a lot of money floating around with no job. But we've taught our kids to not work hard. Remember, you hear that saying we have right now? Work smarter, not harder.
Work smarter, not harder.
Right, work smarter, not harder.
Don't put in all those hours.
No, I mean,
just be smart about
live life. But now, everyone is like,
work-life balance.
No, anybody? No, not even that. It's like here's the biggest thing I see on Facebook streams, and anybody have a good carpenter?
Yeah.
Can anybody give me a reliable plumber?
Yeah.
What mechanic could fix your engine at an affordable price line?
Who can I go to?
We're struggling to find these laborers because no one wants to take the work because it actually involves physical labor.
Yeah.
You have to sweat a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And higher education has demeaned those positions.
Right. I'm too good for that.
They've demeaned those positions. Yeah. They've made those positions look like turd.
Right.
Right. And when something looks bad, you don't want to do it. You don't want to be part of it. Right.
Right. You don't, like a parent doesn't want to tell their friends, oh, my son's going to school to be a plumber.
Right. He's going to be a plumber. Oh my God.
Wow. Terrible. Sorry to hear that.
Right. Yeah. Hey, right. They're giving you condolences on the kid like he just passed away. Yeah. Right. So now
that's a great career.
You're looking at it and you're like, we have no skilled labor. We have no skilled labor in the fields, in the trade fields that we need. Yeah. Right. So this is where I'm saying we're overeducated. We have taught in my son's school. The first thing is like, "Hey, where are you going? What college are you going to? What college are you going to?" And I'm sure that's not in every school. I understand.
New Hartford is
inner city.
New Hartford's different.
Inner city schools. Sometimes you got to be happy your kid just graduates because of the conflicts that are there and the problems that are there. But bottom line, right. But bottom line, everyone's going, where are you going to school? Where are you going to school? Where are you going to school? It's like constant 24-hour pressure on the kid to think that he has to go to college starting right now, which you don't have to do. There are many successful people who have not gone the higher education route and who are well off in society and well off financially and actually enjoying a good life, a great life.
The other thing Kamala indicated
very nice with that.
What was that she is not opposed to having a Republican, if not more, on her cabinet if she wins.
Of course not. You know who's available? Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney would join her cabinet in a second.
Do you think that she is sincere when she says that? Do you think she would happily?
Well, it's been a trend, except not for Trump or Biden. As far as it's been a trend of having a opposing party politician as sitting in the cabinet position in administrations, whether they be Democrat or Republican. But as of the divide since Trump's election, that hasn't happened, and I don't know if that will happen because again, party lines are so cutthroat right now and everybody hates everybody out there. No, they don't. Let me take that back. Politicians don't hate each other.
No,
it's a show. It's a show.
Yeah, it's an act.
Bottom line, when the camera's in their face, they're going to spit fire and venom. And they're saying they hate their opposition. They hate this guy from Georgia. I can't stand this person from California. This guy over here from Missouri is a liar. Then the camera shut down, the lights are off,
and they're like, "Oh, good job."
That guy or female passes in the hallway. He's like, "Hey, what's going on, man? We're going out to dinner later. Where you want to go? Yeah, let's go to she's done. Yeah, that's it." So, bottom line, politicians don't hate each other, but the media, who needs to make money through viewing, okay, they need to make money through views, whether it be online or television views and ads. Right? They get ads out of it.
Yeah, they do.
So they make all their money. They have pitted the American country, the American citizens, the country against each other. They have pitted us against each other. They have made it. Our country right now is like watching WWE.
Oh, please don't bring my WWE.
It is. It's like watching WWE. You either like the good guy
or the bad,
or you like the villain.
The villain,
right? Yeah. That's it.
That's who you cheer for.
That's who you cheer for. You put big signs up. You dress in their clothing, right?
Yeah.
You raw and go crazy, right?
Yeah,
you spit at the opposite guy when he comes by you when you're standing there. That's
Screw you.
Yeah, that's what the media has done. That's what people need to step back, take a look at themselves, and realize what the media has done.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you as well. I was listening to this on the ride over. They said that 20, 30 years ago, Democrats and Republicans were friends and could hang out together and have conversations together.
American citizens.
Yes. And now friendships have been lost. Families have been divided. And it's all because of politics now. Politics
and identity.
That issue.
It's identity, I think, is the biggest thing. So identity covers all of that. Identity. The word identity covers if you are a conservative, if you're a liberal, if you're an independent. It also covers if you are in the LGBTQ community. Yep. Plus, I don't know. So that word identity is the one thing that is difficult to avoid and difficult to not insult, because
it's insulting, but it's not personal.
No, but if you don't identify a person as the correct gender, a title,
the pronouns.
Well, the pronouns and just the mannerisms, everything. If you don't identify them with the way they want to be identified, it's automatic hate.
Yes.
It's automatic war.
Yes.
Because they won't say, "Hey, just call me Mr. Smith." They'll come out with a snide like, "Well, from now on, I would like to be addressed as Mr. Smith." Well, you know what, buddy? F you.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Because no one is meaning to. Some people are meaning to insult right off the bat, but most people are just there. It's all shits and giggles.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's right. So you're talking, or you're at a family dinner, and you're talking, and all of a sudden, someone will get offended by something that's brought up. A support of a politician, a support of a cause, a support of either for or against a gender, or for or against. But don't we all have individual opinions? Isn't that
it's supposed to be allowed? It's freedom of speech.
Isn't that what this country is founded on? I mean, isn't it supposed to be?
It was
right. Yeah. Isn't it supposed to be that we can say what we say? We can disagree about things and all that, but hey, listen, still, I'm your cousin. I'm always going to be your cousin.
Yeah,
I'm your brother, and I'm always going to be your brother. I'm willing to support you, but it's hard for me to support a cause.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
But they take it too far, and that's the ruination of this. And again, it goes back to the media.
And the media really took advantage of last night to lob these softballs at Kamala, and she was accused of what's called word salading her answers.
Sure.
And you have mentioned that.
Yeah.
That they do the best job at saying nothing to these answers. They're asked a direct question and they'll answer anything but. Talk around it.
What can they give you directly? They can't give you anything.
Or they choose not to.
Mrs. Harris, what's your view on fracking? Well, I know that I have said some things in the past about that, but being the vice president for the last 3.5 years has opened my views and my eyes and my feelings towards, the identity of the American public and to, the hardships and feelings on all sides. So, I would restrict my comments at this point in time to tell you that I'm taking everything under consideration.
But I have the same values.
But I have the same values.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to change. You can't change. You can't. Yeah. You cannot change. There's no. To me, I hate to say it. It's almost like a gender.
Yeah.
I don't understand the all the different genders. I'm sorry. You're either male or female by your body parts.
Biologically,
that's your gender. That's just my. But again, this is my feeling.
True. Yeah.
I don't dislike anybody. That it is what it is. If you believe in your mind, if you're more comfortable walking around, you think that's what you are. That's great. But to me, it doesn't make any rational sense. Same thing. Well, I
think it's a mental health issue more than anything.
Most likely, but
I don't think
but it's a to me, politics are the same. Politics are a lot of broadening your answer, right?
Sure.
You can't stay in line. It's got to be a broad
because
answer.
You have to apply it to everyone.
Because when you go against it, and in real politics, and they have it down on paper, and they can show that you're lying, it's real hard to get away from that unless you broaden your answer.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't step back from things like this. It's just incredible how a politician can step back from more than several years of believing one way, more than several years of running a country one way, and then all of a sudden, boom. Snap of a finger, we're going to turn everything around,
right, and
change,
right.
So that's what I just have. If you can't look at, again, if you can't support someone that you dislike so much, then don't support them. Vote your conscience. It is what it is. But man, if you can't see the pure hypocrisy,
it's all hypocrisy
from the left, okay. Whether with Biden or with Harris.
Yeah.
How do you believe anything Harris says after she said that Biden was fine and in great shape?
Yeah. Yeah. She defended until the end.
Anybody.
Yeah.
How do you believe it?
Yeah.
How do you believe it?
How can you trust it?
Right.
And then now it's like, you got to go.
Right. So you got to understand something. It's real hard.
They knew. And I personally think that should be investigated. If all these people knew that he was struggling mentally, and who knows how long this could have gone on for, they're all accountable and responsible for allowing it to happen. And I know that they, you say he's a puppet and they're pulling his strings and telling him what to say and scripting everything. But if they knew that he was mentally deficient and deteriorating and had some sort of dementia or whatever, and allowed it to go on, I think there should be an investigation, and Congress should hold hearings and
listen,
dig in. Because that's dangerous.
He's a puppet candidate.
He put us in danger.
Needed, just like Kamala Harris is a puppet candidate. She is the last second emergency. She's the third string quarterback.
She's the third string quarterback.
She had no action for 3.5 years, and now they have called her in.
The third string.
They've called her in cold off the bench to try to save the game. No, she didn't do anything. At least the backup has a clipboard in his hand and is talking to the guy through the microphone.
That's true.
So bottom line, they've called her in. Right. They've called her in to save the game.
Yeah.
She is here to save the country.
She's got one drive. She's got to drive it down and score and win the game.
The problem is she has no divisive plans in concrete to do any of this, except saying the same rhetoric of
over and
tax the rich,
kill
the corporations, tax the rich. Who's to blame? The rich. Who's to blame? The corporations. Who's to blame? The corporations. Who's to blame? The rich. It's after a while it gets old.
Yes.
Are they part of the problem? The corporations? The corporations are pretty big. I'm sure their goal is to make money. That's capitalism. I understand. They do employ a lot of people. These companies do employ and pay a lot of people.
Now, we did have a question that came in from your last show from Lisa from Worcester.
Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Lisa wanted to know if you believe Kamala would be running the same campaign now if she had been running the entire time? Would her campaign be exactly the same as it is now, or would it have been different if it was announced from the start that she was running?
I think that it would have been different, because I think right now she's just force-fed what she has to say from the think tank of the DNC.
So you don't think she necessarily either agrees with what she's saying?
No, I don't think she does, because if she's backtracking on things like immigration, which she already commented about,
right.
If she's backtracking on things like the wall, which she's commented about,
right.
If she's what else has she backtracked about? There's probably 15 things, and I'm drawing a blank right now on others. But if she stepped away from the Green New Deal, the Green New Deal is something that her advisors have just said that they're going to not support.
Right.
Whereas in 2019, that was the cause.
She was all about
that was the cause. That was going to reduce the whole world's problem was going to be solved by the Green New Deal.
Yes.
So, bottom line, those are her policy thoughts. Those are what she was going to run on. That is what she believes in. That is what she supports. Whatever you sign is what you support.
Exactly.
And I think that she would have been more far left than what you see right now. And it's hard to explain that, because we're already saying that she's far left, but she's pulling back on these policies that she was against to try to make it look like she's a little more moderate and to be a more hospitable face to someone who may be on the fence. I really find it hard to believe that there's anybody that's still on the fence for this election. I'm confused beyond a doubt. I think right now it's very cut and dry. You're either on one side or you're on the other side. RFK was a kind of neat little cool thing to allow people to say, hey man, I voted for there's my protest vote. But bottom line now, he's thrown his support for Trump. Tulsi Gabbard has thrown his support for Trump.
Correct.
Basically what you're going to see is union heads on TV say that they support Kamala Harris. Union members
do right
in large droves, more than probably 50%, will vote opposite.
Exactly.
So, I think everybody's cut and dry. I don't see many people, being a last second changing their minds. But I do see more sentiment. Listen, when someone pays $147 million for political ads, okay, to TikTokers, people on X, that's what the Harris campaign has spent.
Yeah.
That's what the Harris campaign has spent.
That's what it's going to.
They are paying people. There was just an article out in the Post. I think it was yesterday, and I posted it. There were some athletes.
That's what. Yeah.
From the University of Montana.
That's what we just said. They got NIL deals.
Right.
We're paid NIL deals.
Right. So a lot of them didn't take it.
Yeah.
They refused to take it.
They thought it was crossing the line.
Right. And that was for not Kamala Harris, but for the state senator.
Yeah.
Right. For the state senator,
yes.
because he had been pro-trans and,
yes.
and women's athletics. So, and that's small money that they were throwing at these kids. There's hundreds of millions of dollars being thrown right now to people that will happily accept it to say something bad or derogatory about the opposing candidate.
The influencers that
get
paid to post.
Yeah, you've got so many viewers, so let's put that on there and then just debate people. And so get on there and debate, and it doesn't matter. So, and that creates even more hate and anger. So they think they're reaching out with all this advertisement. They're going to do better, but really is dividing the country even more. But from what I've looked at socially on social media and what I've looked at in print and what I've looked at in interviews
isn't much print.
Anyway. Yeah, well, I mean, online print. I mean, but from from the Post to Times to whatever I can get my hands on to read, I see a heavy swing towards Donald Trump. I'm not saying that because I like Donald Trump. I'm just saying
I think the more that she is exposed and the more that she talks and
Right.
the more interviews
Well,
that she does,
their convention, they had their euphoria.
She's swinging.
They had their euphoria. Right. They had their euphoria. It was a big
They
party.
had their love fest.
It was great. It looked good. I'm telling you, they're very well organized on that. I got to admit, the Democratic Party is much more organized than the Republican Party. They do a great job.
Is it because they have more members, or is it just because they organize?
No. They know what sparks the public.
So they know what incites people.
Right. Well, not so much incites. What excites them to be a member of the party or to fight for the party.
Right.
You know what I mean? They know what. It's not waving the American flag. Yeah, they pulled out all the flags at the convention, little ones to hand out to everybody, and they waved them all. It's not that, though. It's more about showing people how much more compassionate they are. It's always compassion.
And
it's always compassion. Right. Yeah. It's always compassion.
Yeah.
But after a while, you have to regulate yourself and say, I got to think about myself first. I'm not a selfish bastard, but I got to think about myself and my family and my close people around me first.
Right.
I can't worry about the rest of the world.
You can't pay for everyone.
Right. So there are some causes and there are some things and some that unfortunately, I cannot support at this time.
Right.
I got to worry about myself.
Right.
And that's what socialism is not about one person or 10 people, or it's about a collective. Socialism is about a collective. It's about everyone.
Okay.
For socialism to win, everyone has to play. Everyone has to contribute. Everyone has to be a part of it. So you can't leave a section out. Everybody's got to be in on it. And that's why socialism has not worked across the globe.
But okay, so I don't know this answer. Maybe you do.
Sure.
If you look at the entire world and all the nations in the world, what would be the most prominent government that each country uses? Would you say percentage-wise?
Explain that question again. I mean, what political system?
Yeah, political system, capitalism, socialism, whatever, communism. What would you say is the most prominent in the world?
It's difficult to say because
democracy,
European. Yeah, well, no, I would know. Dictatorships are few and far between.
Okay,
and dictatorships have a shelf life. You can only go so long having a country as dictatorship, because after a while the people are just going to revolt. They can't do it, They realize that they outnumber. Right. That's why people are worried. Oh my God, Donald Trump is going to be a dictator. He's going to. How about this one? Oh, who was it? Was it one of the Kennedys? I don't know who set it up there at the DNC convention.
Well, Kennedy's family was very angry.
They're angry afterwards. Yeah, but during the convention, there was something said that if Donald Trump becomes president, he will be a dictator. He will weaponize sections of the government. He will make the FBI his right wing and go out and persecute and arrest his political opponents.
Yeah.
He will weaponize the FBI.
I don't think that's possible, though.
Hey, who just was found guilty of doing that? Joe Biden.
Yeah.
The Biden administration weaponized the FBI.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's clear. Another point where it's clear beyond a doubt that the FBI was doing some dirty work for the Biden administration, and before that too, I'm sure, but some dirty work, to be able to keep a candidate in good standing, to suppress information from whether it be COVID or whether it be overseas happenings with Israel, and with the FBI was used by the Biden administration to curtail undesirable things happening in the U.S. that would make the president look bad.
Well, yeah, and the whole thing with the social media, right?
Oh, well, that's right. I mean, the Mark Zuckerberg came out and did that because everyone said, well, Mark Zuckerberg, he probably thinks that Trump's going to win, so he's got to get on Trump's good side now. No, I think he just doesn't want to get caught once
they were censoring.
Right, because if the Republican Party does win, they're going to investigate everybody. There's going to be a commission. We're going to waste so much time investigating things. Yeah, we're going to waste so much time if a Republican wins in 24. We're going to waste so much time investigating things that
happen.
We already know that happened. We already know they're true.
You think Trump will go back and try to
No,
investigate
it
the
won't.
election from 2020?
I think that will happen. I don't know if that'll be directly from Trump, but it'll be some of the Republican senators will put it up to a committee to go in and to investigate. Because listen,
It makes sense.
Georgia just investigated themselves for the third time, and now on the third time they found out that oops,
my bad,
we're missing 100,000 ballots. So
something's off.
How does that happen?
Yeah,
but they told us that it couldn't happen. They told us we were walking around. Most of America was walking around going, "Oh my God, they're investigating." There's some kind of election. You could see it right there. I mean, 11,000 votes, and he was up, and then all of a sudden, here comes boom out of nowhere comes Joe Biden, and then we were walking around like zombies. We were like, I can't believe it wasn't true. And now, a year later, oh, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. So where's the repercussions? Where's this been in the media?
That's why I said.
Where's Dana Bash?
Yeah. Nobody's putting it out in front and center.
Right. Where are these liberal? Where's MSNBC? Where's Rachel Maddow saying that Georgia just
it should be the biggest news story.
They effed up.
Yeah.
They effed up. The conservatives were right. There was some ballot tampering during this past election. Oops.
And I believe the states, it was Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania were the three main.
Carrie Lake almost was exiled because she was such a Donald Trump supporter and said that there was election fraud, and then Arizona backed and said there's no fraud. But you know what? If they found it in Georgia, what's to stop them from finding it in Arizona?
Well, part of it is I don't think they want to find it either.
No, nobody does right now. It's too late. What you're doing is throwing on the face of the electoral process.
Right.
You're making people not want to vote.
Right.
Because
they feel their vote doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Listen, 100,000 votes, 100,000 ballots disappear.
It's impossible.
Right.
It's an impossibility. But that's such a high number.
But the information is kept from people. And so people keep believing what they want to believe.
That's why you have the conspiracy theorists and the flat earth thing. We did have a question from Enrique.
Welcome, Enrique.
Enrique wanted to know if now or ever, is there a possibility for a third-party candidate?
No, because the money's too big. The money is too large right now for a third party to develop and to be able to put something together to be competitive in an election. I mean, look what they did right now to RFK. Okay, so RFK declares that he's going to run as an independent. The DNC looks at RFK and says, you know what, here's the problem. He's going to pull votes away from us. People that would vote for a lifelong Democrat will probably vote for RFK if they like him and like his policies that are a little more in line with a moderate democratic process and thought process. So they turn around and sue him in every state in the union to keep him off ballots. And we mentioned we talked about this the other night.
Right.
They sue him to keep him off ballots.
That was their response.
Because they want him eliminated from the process. And here he is. He's trying to campaign. He can't campaign because he's got to send his people state to state to go fight these court cases
to get on. Right.
Right. You know what I mean? And we talked about the media just a few minutes ago. What kind of control they have on the American public. So since his announcement for his candidacy, he's had 2 interviews on network television as far as being able to talk about his policies and what he wants to put forward if he were elected as president of the United States. 2 interviews.
That's it.
2 interviews. That's it. Yeah. He's been turned down there. Fox. I think Fox was the only one. I think Fox put him on twice.
Yeah.
He might have been on before he announced that he was running on one of the liberal, one of the channels. But 2 interviews. That's it. So think about the narrative control and the financial control that big parties, Democrat or Republican, can do. A third party is impossible right now. Impossible.
Hey, Dave.
Yes,
sir. Just in time. We had a question from Enrique in Worcester, and you're also the voice of reason yourself.
How can 2 people be the voice of reason?
I'm definitely not the voice of reason. Maybe the voice of contention.
Enrique wanted to know if it is possible for a third party candidate in the future to emerge and have a successful run, because he said we haven't seen one really since Ross Perot. Is that accurate?
And he had no successful run. I mean,
But they at least allowed him in the debate.
They're allowing the debate. Listen, they don't want to even debate themselves. There was no debating on the Democratic side to see who would be the party's candidate.
No, they just gave it to her. But
I think it'd be highly unlikely. The last time it happened, really, was when the Republicans and Abraham Lincoln, Whig Party. It used to be the Whig Party. What was the other party called? The Federalist. But then the Republican Party, which was Lincoln, which was a newly formed party, that was really a third party, if I'm not mistaken, at the time, and it basically replaced the Whig Party. So, I think it'd be highly unusual. There's too much money in each one of the parties for them to let go of that power. You've seen a few times with libertarians trying to run. There is a libertarian party that gets very few percent of it. But it's very difficult for a third party. The only thing you could do is run interference for one of the other parties. So, a libertarian for the most part would primarily take away votes from Republican if someone got traction, or depending on who it was. But I heard you talking about our RFK and RFK, and what they did to him was criminal. On the Democrat Party, it was they didn't even want to give him the opportunity to debate. At the time, it was Biden, obviously, and they didn't want to give him. I mean, to me, some of the things that, and obviously we all know that I obviously lean to a certain party, but the thing that bothered me so much about what the Democrats did was not only did the Secret Service was it terrible for Donald Trump, but they at first wouldn't even give it to RFK Jr., whose father was killed running for president, and whose uncle obviously was president and was killed. That to me was like, I mean, what are we doing here? That to me was Biden just, or his administration just giving the old finger to RFK Jr. And that was, that's to me is just, that's beyond that. That's like criminal in the sense that this is a guy who lost his father when he was running for the presidency, and here he is deciding to run for presidency. They didn't want to. Now, obviously, pushback came, and they did, but I don't know. It's just irritating to me. But did you see the CNN interview with Kamala and Kamala?
Oh.
Kamala.
Yes, that is the request of this show, was to cover the interview
Great.
she had on CNN, where I'll ask you. People wanted to know our thoughts, because she seemed to completely flip-flop on a lot of her views and policies. What?
I want to read the statement I just read about 10 minutes ago, Dave. And then you can talk about all that she did, because this statement will obliterate everything.
Okay.
Harris said, despite the shifts in position, her values have not changed.
Right. The values haven't changed.
Right. She shifted our positions, but her values have not changed. So right there, take the 50-minute interview and throw it right out the friggin' window.
Well, Dave, I mean, the biggest thing that she said that a lot of people were shocked at was about illegal immigrants. She said that she would not prosecute them, and that disrupted several people. I mean, many people couldn't believe that she came back on that. Since 2015, she said that she would never prosecute an illegal immigrant. And now all of a sudden she's saying it's against the law. They're illegal. I will prosecute them to the fullest extent. And they thought that was the biggest flip flop that she had. And
Well,
it was an embarrassment to journalism because they didn't push her on it and they didn't ask good follow-up questions.
no, they didn't, but they did ask her a couple of questions that I thought, she fell kind of flat on those answers. One of them was obviously immigration. Um, what was interesting to me. The other one was fracking. I thought was an
Fracking,
Yeah.
answer, but so I feel like Kamala has really gone, and I got it right that time. Uh, has really gone hard and just said, okay, can you guys hand me what Donald Trump's actual things that he stands for? And then our whole philosophy is whatever he's for, we're now for. So
Right.
she has no scruples whatsoever. She has no moral value. She has no stance of her own. That's what that tells me. She really has no stances on anything. She is a puppet in a different way, and it's whatever they think will get them elected. Whatever she thinks, whether it's her or the political machine behind her, whatever they think will get her elected, she is going to say. I mean, it's laughable. She was one of the biggest people against fracking. It's crazy. She was one. How am I supposed to believe her? Like, she was the biggest person against like you said, prosecuting illegal immigrants. She now is gonna.
she wants to arrest them all.
She just was the border czar. She did nothing.
Right. Where's the? I mean, if you are going to, if you're trying to change everything that Biden, why didn't you do it in the first 3.5 years? If you're trying to change all of Biden's, I'm going to do this. I'm going to reform this. I'm going to change that. Why wasn't this done in the first 3.5 years of the presidency?
And Dave, I have to ask. We had a question from Lisa, who is also from Worcester.
Yeah.
Lisa wanted to know: had Kamala been nominated from the start and ran the entire time, do you think her campaign would have been the same? The campaign that she has now, if she had announced that she was going to replace Biden and run 4 years ago, do you think the campaigns would be the same?
You mean her stances,
Yes.
policy-wise?
Yeah.
No, she would have been as far left as she could have been. She would have 100% been as far left. She has only shifted because they know what was going on with Biden, and because of they forced him out, which I'm amazed that still there isn't a person in the Democrat Party that says, I didn't vote for her. I didn't vote for her. Like, no one stands up at all. But anyway, the bottom line is that she would have been far left, which she is, okay, and she has shifted because she saw, or the party saw. I don't, it may be her, maybe the party. I don't know which one it is, but they saw that Biden in that debate struggled with all of those things, struggled to not just to answer those things, but the response from the public and the polls onto some of those things, and the things that have happened in places like New York. I mean, have you seen what's going on in Aurora, Colorado?
Oh, it's a paradise. It's a renter's paradise in Aurora, Colorado.
I didn't see what happened.
You didn't see what happened on that? Well, they just had armed gang members of Venezuelans who are part of a Venezuelan gang in Aurora, Colorado, of all places, have taken over apartment complexes. And
just to live there.
And they're working on taking over the town. They're working on taking over the town.
Right. Right. No, not just to live there. We're talking about they're controlling the entire building. They're controlling a section of buildings. They're going in and they are the law. And the police. How about the governor says that that's not true? It's not happening. The governor of Colorado said that's not happening right now.
No,
the mayor of Aurora said, I don't know, buddy. I'm here, and it's happening.
It's happening.
But that's again, that's a microcosm of the national problem with liberal politics. They tell you one thing, but they believe another. And that's the whole crux of it.
Bradley from Holden, Massachusetts, He had a question about Biden was granting college loan reliefs.
Yes.
Yes. He wanted to know our stance on that policy, if we thought that was a good idea, if student loans should get their debts erased.
Dave, want to take that first, or I could dabble into that if you want to.
Yeah. I have a stance, but you go first, and I'll give you my stance. My stance might be a little bit different than you think, but
yeah. I don't know if they should be forgiven, okay? Because he can't, just to forgive it does one of two things.
It's got to be made up somewhere.
Well, you're not going to have the money, right? So you might as well just put another zero at the end of the deficit. But bottom line is, it also creates division in this country because so many people have gone to college, had debts, and paid them. So why all of a sudden now do you snap your fingers? Now, on the other hand, could the debts be restructured? I'm okay with that. Yeah. If you want to restructure debt because the interest payments are too high and it's stretched out too far, and you're always, or maybe, it's sucking people dry. Think about it. But let me step back, and I apologize, Dave. I'm going to waste another minute here.
No, go ahead.
It's not the loan that I'm mad about, or the interest rate that I'm mad about. I'm mad about, and we talked about this about 20 minutes ago, I'm mad at the educational system.
Yeah.
I'm mad at the educational system because they have forced our young children to believe that a college education is the only thing that they can achieve. And unfortunately, with them trying to achieve this education, most of the institutions they go to, I'm not saying all, there are some that are affordable. Most are out of the affordability range when you're just an 18-year-old kid coming from a middle-class home.
You're not, the 18-year-old kid isn't expected to pay for it. The parents are.
Yeah, I understand that, but the parents can't.
Yeah.
Like Dave, you have a young kid, and by the time he goes to college, my God.
I can't even imagine. Syracuse. I took him to Syracuse yesterday. Look at the campus. Beautiful campus. Might have a program that he's interested in. Could work out well. $84,000 a year. Come on.
Yeah, when my kid goes, it's gonna be crazy. You better keep throwing touchdown passes. So here's kind of my thoughts on it. I'm almost in lockstep with Frank on this. So my thought process is this. I think now looking back, a lot of people with the educational system, including all the way up to my age group and beyond, okay, were sold a bill of goods with respect to college. And
it was our parents. Our parents all told us, you got to go to college.
Sold the bill of goods because for them, a lot of them was first. They were either the first to go to college or we were the first, right? So I look at it like two things. Number one, obviously it's your responsibility. You took on that loan and all that kind of stuff. I agree with Frank that there should be some form, if they are struggling, maybe some form of restructuring or something to make the process better for them. I don't think they should be stuck in bad situations perpetually because of it. Now, there are people that went and did PhDs and those kind of things. That's different. I'm talking about undergrad education, maybe initial master's, right? And it didn't work out the same way. But I do think this. I do think the educational system, I agree with Frank on this, 100%, maybe 120%, that what's going on in higher education has been a problem. I don't know if it will continue to be, but has at least up until this point been a problem where everybody's been told they need to get a college education in order to get a job. And the return on your investment from your college education is not there for a lot of people. Now,
not even close.
I went on athletic scholarship in college, so I got my first year of grad school paid for. My second year, I had to do something. I think I had to take out something. I think, but it was. But obviously, because I played football and I was able to take advantage of that for 5 years. But really, it is I think a tough situation for a lot of people. And the later you went to school, meaning 2010s and now 2020s, it's more and more of a burden for people, and it's something that they can't get out of until they're 70 years old in some cases, unless they really hit the jackpot job-wise. So That part, I do feel for it. I don't think you could just do a straight quote unquote bailout, and that's where
Just give it
the,
away. Yeah.
the tax thing becomes a problem. And I don't like the picking and choosing of who should get it forgiven either. I think, listen, if you're forgiving it for some, you can't just get forgiven for some and not forgiven for others. Like, what makes this group over here better than this other group? I'm not for that either. But I do understand it a little bit. So I do understand. I can't say that I know the solution. I don't think the solution obviously is to get ourselves into more debt or have to increase our taxes to handle it. I don't think that's the solution. But I do think Frank is onto something with some level of forbearance.
Structuring.
Maybe there's something that can allow them to, over time, like forgive a percentage from things they do, from maybe job wise or with respect to helping their communities and stuff like that. Maybe there are things you can do, but
That would make sense too.
yeah, but an outright, like, that's my big thing, is because I think Biden wanted to do, and I'm sure, people in the educational system probably are thrilled by this because he wanted to give it primarily to people who are educators. But my thing is, look, educators do give back, and they do a great job, but they should, how are they different than someone who does something else in a different industry? How are they not also giving back in their own way? So, I get the long and the short of it is I get it, I understand it, but I don't think just flat out, you know, having to raise our taxes because it has to be paid
Forgive it.
somehow by forgiving it. I don't know if that's the answer either.
Our friend who his name is Chris Zalewski. He had a question. I believe, I don't know if Chris worked for you or not, but he's a friend of mine and he enjoys our show. He took out massive loans to go to Utica University now, and he paid them off. And he went back to the registrar's office, and he would like his money back.
Utica College at the time, but Utica had massive loans to
Well,
go
I
there?
mean, he took out. I think he owed probably $50,000.
Yeah,
and he paid it off. He just paid it. He paid it off like 3 years ago.
right.
And they announced the debt relief program.
Right, he missed out,
and he wants it back.
Yeah,
And he wanted to know if you think he deserves to get his loans forgiven because he was smart enough to pay them off, and now they're being forgiven, that he should get his money back.
I have no problem. Everybody pay everybody back. If they're gonna if you're gonna forgive it, forgive everybody.
Forgive everyone. That's right. If you're gonna forgive it, you're forgiving everyone. Our tax rate can go to 90%, and then we all be good. But yeah, I think if you're going to forgive, I think Frank's right on that. If you're going to forgive, you're forgiving everyone. If you're not, I thought Frank's kind of solution is a possible solution.
Yeah.
Level of forbearance, some level of reduction of interest rates, something along those lines. I think your friend is correct in the sense that, hey, he was responsible and he paid it off.
He was mad, yeah.
But I think that the colleges should all the professors should have to pay us a monthly stipend.
Right. Well, I mean, basically, they're there because of us.
Right? That's right. Well, how about a monthly stipend? So maybe they don't have to forgive the loans or pay back your friend who paid his money back. But maybe the professors should dip into the fund, maybe $50 a month from every professor, go across the country, and then they could pay. And then we wouldn't have to go into the government's pocket. We wouldn't have to go in anybody's pocket. The professors who are spewing communism can now give back to society by giving us our money back. They're into communism anyway, so this should be right in line with socialism. What they would like to do.
That's true.
They should contribute. Am I wrong, Frank?
What's fair for thee is fair for me. That's it. It's got one big happy party. Drop it. And you know what? The college could accept that because it would be actually an NIL deal.
Well, that was the next thing I was going to ask.
It would be, it would be an NIL deal.
Dave, the big news coming out of Montana was a state senator offering NIL deals to student athletes ranging from $400 to, I think, $5,000 to promote this senator on social media. And it outraged the student athletes. It outraged people in the state. What are your thoughts on that?
He's a genius.
I thought so too. Those are the ones you want to get. If you can get the student athletes, they're popular. They have the biggest voice.
I don't know.
Can you imagine if Caleb Williams
campaign funds for that, but well, let's put NIL. Going to the sports side of it, it's such a wild west, wide open thing. I mean, is there any rules? I mean, unless there
aren't. No.
So if there's not a political restraint for him, he's a genius. I don't know if there's a political restraint in Montana with them using campaign funds or anything like that. But if he's not, he's genius.
No, I thought so too. Because can you imagine if Caleb Williams got an NIL deal from the DNC? He would have been a huge influence.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right.
I think everybody's minds are already made up. I know there's some people in the middle. I know there's a little bit of a percentage here or there, but I just think everybody's mind's made up. I feel personally
already
that a voter who they say is on the fence is few and far between. Because
was this a presidential election or was this a state election?
That was a state.
It was a state senator.
About presidential. Yeah. I'm talking about presidential. I apologize. Okay. Yeah, we know the senator is a genius. That's. But I'm just talking presidential. I think everyone already has their mind made up. There may be a couple of shaky hands going into the ballot booth, and pull a lever out of conscience. But I think bottom line, it is what it is right now. I don't think much is going to change unless something nationally or worldwide changes. Then that may sway voters one way or another within the last 60 days or whatever we have left. But if not, if you're going to pull the lever for the Democratic Party, you're going to pull it. If you're going to pull the lever for the Republican Party, you're going to pull it. You already made your decision.
Nothing's changing in 2 months.
I do have a question, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. If Taylor Swift, which is the known probably a Democrat, if she decided that she was pro-Trump, would the Swifties make a difference in Trump's favor? I say yes.
100%.
I think there would be some. I've seen more and more social media posts right now about Swifties who are voting Republican.
Yeah.
So the feeling is don't segregate us. Don't block us out. We are Swifties, but we are going to vote Republican because we have to vote first our conscience. I've never seen a performer write a bill that's going to help me locally with my taxes, right? So exactly, bottom line, whoever you want to, performers, entertainers, musicians, actors, actresses, they have zero influence on your life besides what they do on your day-to-day life and what you pay. So bottom line, there are going to be people. There are people in the Swiftie camp that are going to vote Republican without a doubt, probably more than you think. Because I went to the Taylor Swift concert in in Philadelphia. I didn't go inside because I didn't want to pay $1,000 a ticket. I dropped people off, my wife and my son, and seeing who's walking in there, I know they're not liberal, they're not Democrats, but they're going to see a concert. So I think I'm telling you, man, the whole country is there's a fence, and everybody's on one side or the other.
No, we know
with the lions or with the sheep, right? Yeah. That's it, basically.
No, we know that. Dave, one of the questions posed from Ernie was that he wanted to hear from both of you, was the debate that is coming up, I believe, in 2 weeks. Do you think the debate is going to finalize? And you had already said this, you think people are already finalized with their decision. But do you think the debate will finalize people's decisions on who to vote for and that Trump will destroy her one-on-one?
You want me to take a crack at it first, or you want?
Absolutely, hit it up.
Okay. I think Trump, if he is smart, he will destroy her, and if he's calculated, he will destroy her. I think she only could dance in her answers like she did and think for so long before she starts to look silly.
Word salad, they said he called it. They said that she was word salading.
Yeah, word salad, right. She kind of looks. It looks silly for a president to completely dodge, a presidential candidate to completely dodge um, the questions that are asked, and you know,
What's the purpose of doing the interview if you're completely dodging the questions? That's what I didn't understand.
I mean, she asked her like she prodded a little bit, but not very much, and she struggled with it, right? So she didn't really go at her, and she struggled with it. She kind of when the nervous laugh starts coming in, that it's struggling with the answer of what she wants to come across,
finding the words, yeah.
You know, she's caught with her hand in the cookie jar type of thing, and she's got to dance her way out of that. But the I think that the group of people that could be swayed obviously are the independents. I don't know how many of them there are. I do think there are people that could be swayed. That is the whole entire election. Literally a handful of states, and the independent people in those states that are going to sway one way or the other. That's going to be the difference. That's why, listen, Trump's rally in Johnston, PA, was a monster rally. That was today, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, if you saw the videos, it's around the corner to get in there. The line was so long. So he's the king of those kind of things. I think in the debate situation, I think he will do very well. The only thing I if I were advising him to stay away from is stay on the issues, because I think she's going to struggle with the issues. And if he goes into overly on the personal attacks, if he makes her look like a victim of some sort, that would be a negative for him in this case, I think. And I'm not saying he can't attack her as far as on her policies or things she said or flipping or any of those kind of things, but about her personally, because
right.
I think that's kind of a waste of his time, and there's if there's no need to make her look like someone who needs sympathy, because very few people are gonna be sympathetic to her. They will if he does that, though, and I think if he sticks to the policy, she's gonna struggle. She's gonna struggle to define why she flip flopped. She's gonna struggle to define what exactly she stands for and how she's actually gonna serve the American people. She's gonna struggle to say that. Trump does not have to struggle to say what he thinks are the things that he stands behind. So if he does that, I think that'll take care of itself. And then I think he has a good chance to win that independent group, and those, most importantly, those states that are up in the air, and that could be the difference in the election.
Yeah, I see it as no matter what Donald Trump says, he will not lose a voter. But I do think that when Kamala stumbles, then that may make a difference, and people would sway and vote opposite of her. If it's just an outrageous answer or something that is not in line with sanity. But I think the best thing that happened for Donald Trump in this upcoming debate is actually Harris' campaign had asked for the mics to be opened, where the mics were closed on the last one when it was Biden and Trump. And they were going to go with closed mics again. And the Harris campaign asked, please, we want to have them open. And the only reason they want them open is because they know Donald Trump can't help himself, and he's handcuffed, and he's going to try to jump in on when Harris is talking.
Oh,
and so then she's looking for the aha moment, like Donald, I'm speaking right now. So she's looking for that belittling moment, and she's looking for that moment to have people champion her corner, because she would be looking like she's standing up for herself. And I think now that request was denied, so it's closed mics again. that's a game changer for Trump, I think, because right now he can't help himself. That's just who he is. He's going to interrupt everybody.
Well, he's the drunk uncle.
That's right. That's right. So he is. But so, I think that's going to be something that you could watch in the debate that will help him and keep him on track as far as putting up the points that he needs to put to actually try to get some sort of relevant answer out of Kamala. And I don't think you're going to get one. So that's going to make her not look favorable in the public eye.
Dave, the last question that we had was, which state that the Republicans lost in the 2020 election do you see coming around and being one for the Republicans that they had lost that will make a big difference in this election? Which state do you think has the opportunity to change the most?
Did Pennsylvania go to the Democrats in the last election?
It ended up going to the Democrats. It was Pennsylvania.
That's the number one. That's
Georgia,
the number
Michigan.
one to me.
Yeah, I agree too.
That's the number one to me. But they're I'm pretty sure like Wisconsin is probably up for possibility of being able to be one Republican wise. I think Trump won Michigan against Hillary, but I don't know if that's still up for debate anymore. But I think Pennsylvania is probably number one.
Yeah.
He lost Georgia.
But
that's my number one.
That's the number one, probably. I was going to say that would probably be your number one, right?
Yeah, I think that is because he's going to get the support from Kemp right now. I think will put him over the top. Also, the eagle eye supervision of voting, since 100,000 ballots went missing. I think that's going to happen and help out so much more. There's going to be such a fine tooth comb run over every ballot that's going to go in the state of Georgia. And Georgia, if people don't know about it, Kamala Harris has visited Georgia, I think, in the Atlanta area, especially like 17 times so far during this administration.
She has, yes.
So I'm sure she considers that a hub and a strong base, and to be crushed there with a loss, I think would set a tone for the rest of the night going in. Depending on the time frames of voting numbers coming in.
Right.
Yeah, it's I think some other states. Did he lose?
Arizona was one.
Arizona was the one. Yes,
Yeah.
Arizona. He probably is going to have a great chance to win again. Which one?
I think Michigan, Wisconsin, like you said, Pennsylvania. Those were the main.
What if he won?
Pennsylvania's 19 votes. That's a lot.
Yes, but what if he won Jersey or New York? Not going to happen. But what if he won Jersey or New York? Wouldn't that be?
New York hasn't won
since Reagan.
I thought, yeah, right.
Since Reagan. Well, yeah. So what if he? I'm.
New York was close in the governor's race. They got more Republican votes.
It was. That's what set off a firestorm between Nancy Pelosi and what the hell's her name here in New York State? I can't remember her name.
Our governor?
Yes, our governor.
Hochul?
Kathy Hochul. Thanks. It takes a New Jerseyan to tell a New Yorker who the governor is of New York. Kathy Hochul, yes. Yeah. Bottom line, there's a firestorm going on between those two because she's blaming the turnaround in House member votes. We had a seven member switch in New York State going Republican, which those numbers are pretty big numbers. So there's definitely a sentiment in the rest of the state. Obviously, New York City is what keeps the chokehold of the Democratic Party going in New York State.
Yeah.
But it's that you got some.
Remove New York City.
If you remove New York City, but you've got Rochester. Yeah. And Albany that are large Democratic hubs. Yeah. Okay. So, but I just think that the voting dynamics of this state are so interesting, and I think that it may just be a 1 or 2 point difference.
Well, they changed the districts around.
Well, that's
a lot too.
That's gerrymandering. I don't yes, that is. But I just think, and I think the same with New Jersey. I think New Jersey is close. It's there. I know. Phil Murphy is such a great enunciatorial politician. Where our Jersey and you're not. How about that love? But I know, but I think that there's a sway. There's just a sentiment of change And I think Jersey may be on the fence too a little bit. Again, I'm not that optimistic. I know. I'm not that optimistic.
What was interesting is that the guy who ran against Murphy in the last governor election actually came very close.
Yes,
beating him, which was a surprise, but it was more to do with Murphy, I think, than anything else. And even though I do think there is New Jersey's had a large influx of Staten Island since COVID. So
Really?
yes. So especially central Jersey, especially. So there's a bigger, even though New York City itself is mostly Democrat, Staten Island is probably an even mixed bag between Democrat and Republican.
Yeah, Long Island too.
Yep, I agree with you on that. So I think that there may be an influx there. I just don't know how much, but that's definitely more Republican that came over to New Jersey from Staten Island than the Democrat in general. But I don't know if it's enough to sway. That was part of the whole, like, people leaving New York City during COVID and all that kind of stuff. And they went, obviously a lot of them went to Florida and places like that, but a lot came to Central Jersey in the shore area of New Jersey because, they're like, hey, let's sell our house and get the heck out of there. You know what I mean? Type of thing. So,
right.
But it is interesting because Arizona was 11 votes, Pennsylvania 19, Michigan is 15 votes, Wisconsin is 10. If Trump, Georgia's 16, if Trump wins a good amount of those, I think he might have lost Nevada too, which was 6. If he wins some of those back, he's going to be the president.
Do you and hopefully he gets both Pennsylvania and Georgia. I really hope he gets both.
That'll be a windfall. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be. So, wow, we pulled it off. We pulled off another episode of Rebel Republic. There was they wanted to hear from us because of last night's appearance from Kamala. And since Frank is the voice of reason, I told Ernie I would do my best.
Sure, that's a spark.
Yeah. So that's why we're here. And I think we covered a lot of ground. And I think, who knows, maybe Worcester could be changing as we speak.
You think so?
Worcester could be changing.
Really?
Worcester could be changing.
I think that would be like New Jersey going Republican.
New Jersey going Republican.
Worcester's up for grabs, baby.
Worcester's up for grabs. This is fantastic. You know what I got to start doing is I have to start dumping a lot of campaign money into Worcester, into some of the influencers.
Yes.
So they could put our points of view out there and make sure that people in Worcester, Mass, vote conservative.
Yes.
This ballot at the time, and not liberal.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what we'll do. That's what we'll do.
Red, baby.
Dave, I'll start advertising on Facebook and LinkedIn. I'll put the podcast Rebel Republic, so it's an advertisement everywhere.
For other people, red means stop. For us, red means go.
Yeah, red means
right.
Yeah. Red means I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Red means go.
Yeah.
Red means go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. For the voice of reason, Frank Cristiano,
always,
and the man himself from New Jersey, Mr. David Schuman, Coach Schuman. Thank you for being with us on another banner episode of Rebel Republic. I am the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. And remember, this is on 97.9 Unity Radio. Ernie, we love you. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges.